Hi, this is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design, and I'm a guest designer today with Beadaholique. In this video, I want to show you how you can use crystal clay and crystal points to create interesting focals, such as you're seeing here. What you'll need is a couple of pieces of crystal points. I have a couple of jump rings that I'll be using. This is already pre-mixed crystal clay, so I pinched off 2 equal-sized balls of A and B and mixed it together fully. Some options for designing: you can use rhinestone chain and Pearl X mica powders. I also have some texturizing sheets to give it some interesting texture, but on these 3 you're not seeing any texture at all, just on this one. We'll also need some needle nose pliers to make sure that we're flush on our jump rings, and a Q-tip. The first step is going to be making sure that you have a nice flush join on your jump ring. So I'm just using 2 pairs of needle nose pliers, holding it at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock to make sure that I have a nice flush closure on my jump ring. For this particular sample, I'm going to show you how to make a blind emboss. This would be using just baby powder on the texture, but I'm going to actually put mica powder on the texture to pick up some other accents that you'll see in there. So first we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of crystal clay onto the base of your crystal point. So I pinched off a little ball worth. I'm totally guessing how much I will need for this, but I'm assuming that based off of the size of that crystal point, I'm going to use about that much. So using the palms of my hands, I'm making a nice round smooth ball, and then I'm going to pat my little ball out into a little patty, trying to keep it somewhat even in thickness. Then taking my crystal point, I'm placing it in the center and then using my fingers to wrap it around the end of that crystal point. Now I'm using my fingers to just smooth it out and give it some interesting edges down here. I like that irregular look, so I'm using my finger to kind of press that down on the crystal point. Next, to attach the jump ring onto the piece, I'll take another little piece of the crystal clay and roll it into a nice ball again. And then I'm going to roll it out into a little snake-like shape. Then with my seam of my jump ring at the bottom, I'm going to thread the crystal clay through like such. And then attach it onto the end. Now I'm using my fingers to sculpt all of that together and make it seamless. I'm moving the jump ring back and forth so there's a nice round center of that clay. Once I have those 2 pieces attached and I like the shape of it, I can go ahead and put a little bit of the of the mica powder right onto the texturizing pad. So if I wanted a blind embossed like this, I would just use baby powder here, and that baby powder could be rinsed off after we were done. But I'm going to try do it differently for this sample and use some mica powder right on the texturizing pad. I'm going to tap that off in the excess. Then I'm going to roll my piece across the pad, or bring my pad up to the piece to create that texture. I'm just wrapping it around and pressing it. Let's see how that looks. So depending on if you like that look or not, if you didn't like it, you can go ahead and wipe off some of that, just wipe off the crystal clay and try it again. I'm going to try that again. I'll show you. So I'm just going to take my wet wipe. I'm going to wipe off the best I can the crystal clay. Oh, that looks really cool. Just removing some of it, you can see it's just making it even slighter of an impression. Let's try it again. So what I didn't like is I flattened the piece and I want it to be more rounded. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more mica powder down. And this time I'm going to bring it to the side of my table and I'm going to roll it this way. So I'm pressing down and rolling. And then you can use your fingers to sculpt that jump ring back into place. That gives you a pretty good idea. And if you wanted to, you could take a little bit of the rhinestone chain and wrap it around and embed that down into there, like that one sample that we saw, like we saw here. This has no texture on it at all. It just has a little bit of mica powder that's been rubbed into it, and then the rhinestone chain just wrapped around inside of it. It takes you have about 90 to 120 minutes to work with the crystal clay before it starts to harden, but then it'll set in about 2 hours, and then you'll have a fun little pendant using the crystal point. This is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design here at Beadaholic, showing you how you can use crystal points and crystal clay to make fun pendants. Thank you.